Bonnie Diaz again with Robert Anthony Vance. We're going to just quickly define what an axis is, how we body shape around that axis as opposed to each other's body. So I'm going to ask Robert Anthony just to face front for a second, just so you can see we're all on the same page. The definition of an axis, to make it very simple, is something that you can rotate or start to rotate around, either a body or a thing, whatever feels good to you. Then sometimes like a hinge and a door, the door rotating around that hinge is the axis. For the gentleman's right shoulder, rib, hip, knee, and foot, that is the axis for the gentleman. For the lady, it's the same thing. Right shoulder, rib, hip, knee, and foot. I use the skeletal positions because sometimes it's easier for people to visualize this as opposed to a muscle, which they are engaged, but at this point we don't have to show you those things. I'm going to ask Robert Anthony to face me on the diagonal. He's going to put his left foot slightly in front of his right. His right shoulder, rib, hip, and foot are the axis. I can visually see it. He's going to shape his body like an Egyptian, the way we did against the wall. I'm going to take his right arm, and I'm going to put it forward. I'm going to do something called supination, which means to torque. The gentleman bends his elbow, and at the same time, the wrist rotates and turns up. That is the connection the gentleman gives the lady. It does not pull in and down. Okay, so that's called supination. He's closing his rib cage like a corset. He's twisting and torquing like an Egyptian. At the same time, I am visually seeing what he is doing. I'm going to shape my body like an Egyptian, and what I am going to do is to stabilize the axis and know what I'm shaping around is I'm going to take my right arm and extend it over his right shoulder. So my hand protrudes outside the back of his head. He's going to press his wrist up underneath my armpit. I'm going to make my Egyptian shape. I can put my hand on my head if I want to. He can touch my shoulder, or he can touch the back of his head and turn his face slightly left. We're now shaped like an Egyptian. We have set the axis of the partnership. From this point on, every shape we make is relative to this axis. If we both turn our feet to promenade position, you will see it is done with this area of the axis I'm shaping to. If I come back to closed position, it is with this axis. If I turn to counter promenade, it is the same thing. I turn the feet against the wall, the axis. We come back to closed position, dancing like an Egyptian. If we take the hand, and he pulls his hand slightly back, that's how we produce dance position in the body with no pressure on each other. Thank you, Robert Anthony Vance and Bonnie Diaz, www.ballroombarks.org.